Hello and welcome to today's webinar. It's our monthly SuiteDistribution webinar on modernizing your distribution operations. My name is Eric Levy. I'm the Director of Sales here at Meridian Business Services. And SuiteDistribution is a partnership between Meridian, we are a CPA and technology firm, and NetSuite, which is the #1 cloud ERP platform, and DSI, which is a inventory management and mobility company that we utilize for wireless warehousing, barcode scanning, and then field mobility as well, last mile logistics and point of delivery. So we'll dive deeper into that as the conversation goes along, but glad you can join us today, and hope to share with you the benefits of a modern operating system for your distribution organization. I have a couple things that we're going to cover during today's conversation. One thing I'd like to point out before I forget is please feel free to ask any questions during the conversation. We will be answering questions via the chat functionality throughout the conversation today. So starting off with a platform overview, I have prepared a few slides. I will try not to kill you with death by PowerPoint. And then we're going to dive into an actual demonstration of the omnichannel e-commerce capabilities of NetSuite and a lead to cash demonstration in the core ERP and CRM functionality of NetSuite. So highlighting ERP, CRM, and e-commerce all on NetSuite's unified platform. So a bit of background on NetSuite. NetSuite continues as the fastest growing ERP, the #1 cloud ERP. You can see compared to many of the legacy platforms, NetSuite is head and shoulders in terms of growth over the other platforms. NetSuite is used by about 40,000, maybe even 50,000 customers now, and about a quarter of those are in the distribution and light manufacturing space. Recently, IDC, which is a third-party analyst firm, did an analysis of, they call it their MarketScape analysis, similar to a Forrester Wave, Gartner report, but analyzing mid-market ERP applications that are cloud-based. And NetSuite, once again, was the leader in the mid-market ERP space, especially when you compare it to some of the more traditional distribution platforms that we see down here that we're replacing a lot of with a modern distribution system like NetSuite. Really, I like to point this out, that IDC called out one specific reason for naming NetSuite so high, and that is that all of the ERP modules run on a single code base and a single database. So it's not a hodgepodge of different systems that NetSuite is trying to pull together. It's one unified platform with a central database, no integrations, ERP, CRM, inventory management, and even e-commerce run out of that unified platform. And so, we talk to a lot of organizations about digital transformation, and there's another area that I just want to point out that was mentioned in the report, and that is that digitally transformed businesses have a repeatable set of practices and disciplines that are used to leverage new business. So, and that also, can rely on providing quicker access to that data, in a solution that's relatively easy to update as well, as NetSuite really covers all of those bases with a cloud-based platform. So when we talk about the benefits of a solution like NetSuite, we typically see a 1 to 4% gross margin increase based on better margin analysis, better data visibility, ability to better analyze customers. And this is all based on actual case studies collected by SL associates of NetSuite users, both before and after their implementation. Organizations switching to NetSuite also saw a 20 to 30% reduction in inventory costs by optimizing their inventory on the NetSuite platform, and also saw a reduction of 50 to 75% in IT costs as well, based on having a cloud-based platform and not having to maintain servers and hardware on site. So we live in a shifting world. Oftentimes I look at it, from the standpoint that if you're trying to run your business on a bag phone, can you imagine that in today's world? Running your business on a bag phone without having access to email, without having access to immediate information to Google at your fingertips. And that really is, the legacy. We live in this iPhone world where we're connected, via text message, via email, via ability to search online, and, of course, cell phone as well. And, when shift happens, there are winners and losers. And you look at Blockbuster, it was a huge winner at its peak in the early 2000s, opening a new store every 19 hours. They were, going gangbusters. And then all of a sudden, two disrupting platforms came along, Redbox and Netflix. And at the end of the day, Blockbuster, Redbox, and Netflix are all just distribution companies. They're distributing entertainment. But Redbox and Netflix had a different approach to distributing entertainment. We all know what happened at the end of the story. Another thing I like to point out, though, is that Blockbuster actually commissioned an internal study back in 2004 to determine whether, people would like to stream videos or if they would like to come into the Blockbuster stores. And there was a confirmation bias in that internal study that said, Blockbuster had its own biases just based on the size of the organization, and that things were just going to keep going the same way that they were, and that people would rather come into the stores. They said they like to pick up that, the DVD case and look on the back and, read the synopsis and ask the experts, the Blockbuster experts, their opinions on movies, and pick out a bag of popcorn and see neighbors in the stores, et cetera. Well, at the end of the day, there's a confirmation bias there, and we know how that story ended. So that's why it's important to do, analysis and determine when there are disruptions in the market, how that shift is going to impact business and how you can stay ahead of that business. And so when we talk about a shifting world, the reason I think this is so important with technology is that agility is a must in today's world. And this legacy architecture of having these different systems, one for warehousing, one for accounting, and one for e-commerce, and one for, customer relationship management or Salesforce automation, and trying to tie them together in this hairball of integrations that you see with the red lines here, it's just extremely difficult. It really doesn't work in today's world. And that's where the idea of a unified suite, a single platform, comes to play with the modern ERP system, where you have financials, you have your customer relationship management, you have your e-commerce all in one system with a single source of the truth. And that's really the approach behind NetSuite. And so what are the benefits of the single source of truth? Well, one is that your front office and your back office have visibility. They're working together seamlessly. So whether it's somebody shopping online, in a store, it's a field sales or field service rep out taking an order, from an iPad, that all of that flows seamlessly through the same system into the back office as well, for warehouse, for delivery, last mile logistics, and accounting as well, and on to supply chain management with manufacturers and through the distribution supply chain. When we look at this, that's the idea of a single source of truth, that all of that information exists in one central repository. And in the end, what that means is that you have a customer 360, an item 360, and an order 360. So in the customer record, you have a customer master. There's no more, sales has one, record of the customer, accounting has another, which is the right address, who are the right contacts, et cetera. But then take that a step further, we can also gain abandoned cart and session analytics about that customer that we can surface to the sales team, which is really important in B2B sales, especially when in today's world, a typical buyer is doing research online before they ever talk to a sales rep. So that sales rep can have visibility into the e-commerce data of that customer. And then also the item 360, so no need for a separate PIM to manage the e-commerce, a product information management system to manage e-commerce that's separate from the ERP. It's all one. You have one inventory item master, one inventory record. It also provides vendor awareness as well. And then from the order 360, the same thing, that orders placed online, in store, over the phone, in person by a rep are all treated equally and all exist in the same space. and all have the same visibility. So if somebody orders something online, they can immediately call a rep and make a change, to that order, and also providing fulfillment and activity and status on the back end. So we talked a lot about NetSuite, a little about Meridian. That's the firm I work for. We are a value-added reseller of NetSuite, have deep experience in distribution, light manufacturing, really organizations that have heavy inventory movements is our expertise. We are a financial accounting and consulting firm, though, and we started off working with NetSuite because we were looking for a cloud-based platform 10 years ago that we could help our accounting, our smaller accounting customers manage their business on. So we've grown with NetSuite, and we've seen NetSuite grow to support, anywhere from $5 million companies up to billion-dollar companies running on the NetSuite platform. And I think one thing that really sets us apart is our desire for all of our consultants to have operational end user experience. They've sat in your seat, whether it's in procurement, or IT, or management, and so they understand the complex challenges in an organization, and it's not just textbook learning. It's all real-world end user experience to provide the best services and solutions to our clients. A little more background on NetSuite. It was founded in 1998. Last year it was acquired by Oracle, and really that was a natural progression. Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle, had always had a 49% stake in NetSuite and really just brought it into the Oracle umbrella, focusing on, really Oracle's small and mid-market cloud platform. That's what NetSuite is the future of Oracle's cloud platform for the small and mid-market. It's used by, this slide says 40,000, probably closer to 50,000 organizations now globally. About a quarter of those, like I said, are in the light manufacturing and distribution space, and it's the world's most deployed cloud ERP system. So I want to talk a little about implementation for a second, because I've heard some, I've heard some implementation horror stories from other platforms, platforms that, ERP implementations that, for instance, I was talking to an organization just a couple weeks ago, and they mentioned that they were doing an ERP implementation, and I said, oh, great, how far into it are you? And they said, we're about halfway there. And I said, oh, when did you start? And they said, 3 years ago. Well, a 6-year ERP implementation, I think I'd rather have my teeth pulled than go through that. And so I think that's part of the beauty of the NetSuite platform, is that out of the box with NetSuite's, what they call the Suite Success Model, it's built utilizing best practices, dashboards, business processes in the system. So it's built about 90% of the way there for an organization. And then we change the configuration, change the switches. It really is a full development platform in and of itself, but out of the box, it's most of the way there, and then we're able to develop and configure on top of that to the exact needs of the organization. So the demo I provide today is I had a customer purchase NetSuite last week. The next day they got an email to log into their environment, and it is the exact same as the demo I am going to show today, which is pretty powerful, minus the data, of course. And that's why this is a bit of a marketing hype, but 0 to cloud in 100 days. NetSuite touts the average implementation is about 106 days. We see that as a little longer, especially when we involve e-commerce and warehouse operations, typically 6 to 9 months. But it's no longer a multi-year project, even a year project. Typically, we're able to accomplish these implementations in far less time. So, and that's by taking an agile approach. From day one, we are able to start training on the platform and get some of the data into the platform to determine what an organization can accept out of the box and what's going to need to be customized and changed to the unique needs of the organization. So a very agile implementation process. Switching gears, I want to talk about e-commerce. This is a huge passion of mine. NetSuite is the leader, in e-commerce. According to this Forrester Wave graphic, NetSuite is rated up there with Magento, which is, a household name in the e-commerce platform. And I think what's so powerful about that is that it's up there in the leader category, but it's natively part of the ERP. None of these other e-commerce platforms are part of the ERP. They're bolt-on systems that require a lot of work and integration challenges. Going back to that hairball graphic we showed earlier, are very challenging to integrate into the native environment. So having NetSuite as part of the native part of the ERP and CRM system is extremely powerful, as you'll see here shortly. Here's an example of a e-commerce site. I'm going to dive into this in a little more detail, but fully responsive, high quality look and very customizable. I'm going to show some very different looks. So really the e-commerce platform is a full development environment. It's not an out of the box, you have to take it this way, or you have a limited number of templates that you can choose from. Really a full modern e-commerce platform. And it extends e-commerce to the customer experience. We live in an Amazon world where Amazon has changed the way that customers experience the customer experience online. Already twice today I've ordered 2 things online, and Amazon has made that extremely easy. And so we are starting to see, as consumers are demanding that and they're personalized, it's also going into the B2B world as well, where businesses want that simplicity of ordering, that customer experience. And so having a portal that's built into the e-commerce platform, which we'll share during the demo, is natively out of the box part of it and can be customized, that allows for quoting out of the portal, allows for order status, account balance, as you see here, ability to make a payment via credit card or ACH, see invoices, print transactions, open a case, request an RMA, et cetera, all by your B2B customers is extremely powerful. Switching gears once again, I want to talk about the back office and the warehouse side. And so this is where our partner DSI comes into the picture. We commonly integrate a wireless warehouse with barcode data collection into the complete package with NetSuite. And so DSI won NetSuite Suite App of the Year. Suite App is really like an app on your iPhone. It's been certified by NetSuite and is part of the NetSuite ecosystem and natively is embedded into the NetSuite system. So when we talk about inventory management, we look at it from 2 ways. We look at it from both inside the 4 walls of the warehouse and outside the 4 walls of the warehouse. So barcode data collection inside. On the outside, maybe it's field service or field sales. Maybe it's last mile logistics like proof of delivery, et cetera. But, and the device may change between those, a ruggedized device in the warehouse with prompt and response versus, a full iPad interface in the field. But this is what we do, with DSI, and we can explain that in more detail in a one-on-one conversation and the power really of mobility in your customer experience. So I've mentioned that a couple times, customer experience. Really, I want to focus on customer experience during today's conversation, all the way from what we call the lead to cash process. Starting off as a sales lead, to an opportunity, to a quote, to a sales order, fulfillment, invoice, and cash receipt. And a lot of organizations that covers a number of different systems for that customer journey. You're going to see that all in one system today. And part of what I'm going to focus on are 3 principles. One of those being what we call CRM for all. So CRM is no longer just, and in case you're wondering, not familiar with the acronym CRM, it's Customer Relationship Management. And so traditional CRM, like a Salesforce platform, focuses primarily on the sales side. We look at that across the board. The customer journey, typical CRM is just in this part up here. But we look at the customer journey all the way across, and that CRM, should impact the full, gamut of a customer's life cycle in your organization. So whether that's, fulfillment status, shipping status, the ability for accounting to see to make and record customer notes, customer phone calls, emails, et cetera, in the system, and have the visibility across the board, you know, of what the customer is doing, no matter who they work with in your organization. We'll also talk about managing by exception. So that's the idea that, you know, we're able to surface information. You know, it's commonly called, you know, business intelligence, or we're able to utilize analytics to surface information, put it on the dashboard of a manager to see before an exception occurs or when it's occurring, to cut it off at the pass and ensure that it doesn't become a bigger issue, whether it's customer-facing or internal. We'll talk about that. And also, we're going to have a big focus on the omni-channel e-commerce capabilities of NetSuite. So with that said, we are going to dive into the platform here. I'm going to give a brief overview of NetSuite. We're going to shift gears and look at some e-commerce sites to give you a flavor of that, and then we're going to come back to NetSuite. So NetSuite is a cloud-based system. I got to this website by going to netsuite.com, entering my secure login credentials. It's as secure as a bank, and I arrived at this screen. So I am logged in as a senior executive in this organization here. I have access in this demo environment to all the different roles. So out of the box, each one of these different roles is available, whether it's sales, you know, financial or controller, warehouse operations, with different metrics, dashboards, information access, et cetera. Of course, these can all be customized. The dashboard can be customized. We can add, you know, just as an end user, we can add a KPI here. So we'll just add a standard KPI of, you know, new customers, and it's that easy to add that to my dashboard. We can move our dashboard around, and I'll move that back there. We can also drill into the numbers. So let's say I want to know what makes up this, you know, income, 646,000. That seemed a little off to me this, you know, this year. I can see what's making that up and drill all the way down to the underlying transaction level and see that, oh, here's a, you know, large order from Smith Plumbing. Let's take a look at this one, this invoice here from Smith Plumbing, and see what they purchased. So, and they purchased some office furniture, it looks like, from us. So we can also see that it's been paid in full. This is the invoice record. I'll talk more about the various transaction records and also the contacting customer records in the system shortly. In terms of navigation, I can come back to my home screen as well. We have traditional menu-like navigation up here. We have shortcuts here that are be set up by the end user, and then we have recent records as well. We also have reminders. So this is telling me that I have 2 late non-stock orders that I need to address. Those are probably drop ship orders that are, you know, late, let's say drop ship orders that are late in shipping from the customer. So we're talking about managing by exception. That's, you know, easy to create those, even as an end user, create those exceptions and see those right on our dashboard. We can have charts, you know, we can drill into the data on the charts, financials, et cetera. My favorite part, though, about using NetSuite is the Google-like search. So let's say I want to pull up something about Smith Plumbing. When I first type that in, you can see that I see a lot of opportunities, a lot of different records for that. So if I want to just go to the customer record, I can go right to that customer record for Smith Plumbing. You can also see that there's sub-customer records as well for some of their sub-locations. So we can have multi-levels of customer records, in addition to multiple ship-to addresses and multiple billing addresses as well. This is the customer record. We're going to come back and talk more about this in greater detail. One thing that I do want to mention, though, on the customer record as well is that there is a concept of a lot of different dashboards in the system. So I showed you the you know, primary dashboard as a senior executive when I logged in. Each customer, though, has their own dashboard that's customizable as well, you know, with information about the customer. So oftentimes we'll connect NetSuite to a phone system so that there's a screen pop when a customer calls in to this screen with all their information. We can see invoices, activities, you know, item sales, and once again, this can be customized. Then we can go to reports as well, so sales by, you know, customer detail here to see, you know, additional details on that customer. And we can also use the Google-like search for, like if we want to find a sales order here or enter a sales order for navigating to us. Actually that's a good point. In this demo environment, the senior executive, we don't want him entering sales orders, so it did give me a permission violation that that this senior executive cannot enter sales orders. So it's role-based, and when we get into the sales role, you'll see that there is limited visibility of financials, for instance. So we can certainly limit the visibility. We're going to come back and take a look at the main ERP system shortly, the ERP and CRM component. I do want to dive in, though, because this is what's driving a lot of the organizations that are evaluating NetSuite, and that is the e-commerce portion. So I'm just going to open up a couple different e-commerce sites here. And this one here with a variety of different looks and business models as well. So sustainable supply is an interesting one. The reason I like to point this one out is because I oftentimes get the question, how does NetSuite do with SEO? That's really important to us, to get our products out online. And I came across this sustainable supply site. Full disclosure, it's not actually a NetSuite customer of ours. This is a NetSuite, a site running NetSuite, though, and I came across this site because I was looking for, I have a 2-year-old daughter, assembling her crib, and we're missing part of her new bed, and we're missing part of a bolt, and it was a really unique bolt. I've been to 4 different hardware stores in town and couldn't find it. I searched for it. It's an end cap bolt that goes, on another bolt, and so I searched that online, and this site came up, and I thought to myself, this site looks kind of familiar. There's some familiarity to a couple of the objects on the site. I do a lot in e-commerce and with NetSuite. And sure enough, I looked, and it was a NetSuite site. So it's a real-world example of looking for a product online. SEO, drove me to this site, and this is running on NetSuite SuiteCommerce Advanced. So it's actually under the tools and hardware section. We're going to look up, though, just under HVAC. Maybe we want to look up, a blower fan here. So this is one layout. They had top sellers there. You can see, all of this data exists in NetSuite. So it's a full PIM. Customers also viewed. Our customers also purchased. So it's taking all the analytics. And this isn't just analytics from the e-commerce site. This is analytics from all purchases, whether that purchase took place at a store, over the phone or online. So that's the power of NetSuite, is it combines all of the purchases for the data, in the site. And also have reviews. Here's my recently viewed. This is actually the steel nut connector that I was looking for my daughter's crib. Multiple pictures. So it's a full high-end website. This is an aspect I really like, though, on this site, and that's the auto reorder. So let's say I was doing filters, I was selling filters, and I wanted to be able to set this up for an auto reorder. It's kind of like Amazon Subscribe and Save. We can auto reorder this part and auto ship that to the customer. So this is a great high quality site that you can see. We can come back here. Here is how they have implemented faceted navigation, so we can do it by manufacturer, under a certain price range, with a wheel diameter to get right down. You can even do a quick view of that product as well. So a lot of features, order status and tracking, which I'll show you when we log into the back end of an actual system as well. But like I said, everything you're seeing here exists in NetSuite, and this is surfaced through NetSuite SuiteCommerce Advanced, which is their leading NetSuite, best-in-class NetSuite platform. Here's another site, with March Madness in full swing. I like to show this site. Full disclosure, I'm a Jayhawks fan, and so we can see that here is just a different way that they've implemented the faceted navigation. So it's taken me already to Final Four shirts of Jayhawks by clicking that on the front, and I want a men's shirt here. So I just want to look at all of the men's shirts. Faceted navigation is showed to increase page views by 20%. So in case you're not sure what I'm referring to as faceted navigation, it's the ability to select over here, or like you saw me doing on the previous page, to find exactly what I want to search for by using these facets to narrow down my search. So, here's my shirt, and once again, a different take on the recently viewed items. I think you get the idea, of a very different website setup for a completely different industry. And once again, here's a very different looking website setup. I do like this, that they use this website for both retail and distribution. So retail customers can come here, honey stinger, delicious snacks if you haven't had one. But here they show that, they're using the NetSuite promotions, and retail customers can get free shipping on orders over $50 with that promo code. So this is, a little more about honey stinger, and I think it gives you a good idea of the flexibility of the NetSuite platform. So let's come back into the NetSuite platform and talk about the lead to cash demonstration process. So it would make sense to do the lead to cash process by starting in a sales role. And I want to start out by starting with an online lead form. So the concept of a online lead form is that this can exist in your website with your look. It's a secure form on your website that feeds right into NetSuite. So these can be used for lead forms. I've also used them we've used them for a lot of different things, event signups, training signups. In the distribution space, really like using them for credit applications as well, or new customer registration. So we're going to just register Jeff Denver, J Denver. Actually, maybe probably should make sure I have a unique name here. So I might have already used Jeff Denver. So we're going to do Jack Denver. Jack's Supply. We'll call it Jack. How about Jack HVAC? I'm going to put this in California because in this instance of the demo, I actually have online, I have lead routing set up, so it goes to a specific rep based on the state or zip code. I'm just going to say I'm interested in 10 HVAC units. I'm going to submit the form. So what is happening now is it's actually updating my reminder here that I have a new lead, and you see that change from 3 to 4 based on that new lead registration. So like I said, I've done this with several new leads, and so that's why we're seeing a couple here, but here's Jack Denver, the one I just registered. I can see his note here that he's interested in 10 HVAC units, and I could call him up then and convert him into a customer. To walk through the rest of the demonstration process, I'd like to actually use a real customer who has terms set up, who has addresses, who has more detailed information, rather than having to walk through setting up all that information during the demo just in time of utilizing our time today. So I'm going to look at Smith Plumbing, and as I mentioned earlier, Smith Plumbing has a main location with several different branch offices as well. The reason that we set it up this way is so that we can have different contacts at different locations as well, a different amount of company information, but we can consolidate the invoicing and payment through the headquarters if we'd like. So here are the contacts at, we have full contact management here, within Smith, within the customer record. We can also look at the sub-customers as well. So here's 2 of those, and then there's sub-customers under each one of these as well. So multi-tier customers in this case. You can have multiple addresses. So here we can see all those different ship-to addresses for this particular customer. Company profile as well. We can add custom fields. In the sales role, of course, I don't want a salesperson just randomly adding a field here. So I'm going to come back and talk about the ability to add fields shortly and workflows as well, and related to customize the environment and build a custom platform for your organization on the NetSuite platform. We can look at sales. So I can look at opportunities. I'm going to talk more about opportunity management in the sales process shortly. We can see items purchased. So here's where it's getting all of that data that we saw on the website. So the salesperson has the same access to that data. We can look at upsell item opportunities, just like it shows on the website. So this is great into the month. The salesperson, wants to find the best upsell opportunities or white space, to sell into a customer. So this is commonly, because a customer bought this, they might be interested in this. Because they bought an HVAC unit, we should sell them these filters, et cetera. Additional tabs on qualification, profit by category for that customer. So what you'd expect from the financial tab. Terms, this customer, it might make more sense if I click edit, so you can actually see the editable fields. This is a drop-down field here, and they've been set for net 60. They have a huge credit limit. I'm actually going to back that down because it's a pretty big credit limit with an auto hold on it. We can do credit card processing, full PCI compliance as well out of the system. We can see their balance, their consolidated balance. In terms of pricing, NetSuite has a very flexible pricing engine. So matrix pricing is common that we work, with distribution organizations. So customer by product class, matrix, and driving the pricing that way. So that's what we're looking at here is product group pricing for this customer. Then also item-specific pricing. So pricing negotiated on a per item contract basis, which I don't have any set up in this customer, and then just a general price level discount as well at the customer level, at the highest level, which is they're set for a 15% discount. There's further flexibility that we can do with pricing. We can do a lot of different interesting things with pricing structures and contracts. I haven't seen one that we've come across yet that we haven't been able to accomplish in NetSuite. Working our way across the tab, this is a very powerful part of NetSuite is the communication tab. So messages, we can have automated messages such as when a fulfillment goes out that I will show you shortly, that here is this fulfillment, or this is sales order record actually for this item, and these can be customized to your look and feel. Here's an item has been fulfilled and the tracking number, full HTML and PDF creation of those documents, so a lot of flexibility in how they look. We can also create an email. So as a salesperson, I can have templated emails that I send to. So let's say I want to send a templated email to Smith Supplies. A common one might be a collections notice. Here is the template for the collections notice. We can use mail merge functionality to, put in their name, maybe the, outstanding balance, and we could, customize this as well with a note, hope you're feeling better, because maybe we knew that they were, in the hospital. So it allows you to speed up, creating emails, commonly used emails, and those can be used across the organization. So maybe it's a quote follow-up, a sales follow-up, or in this case, collection. I should note as well, this can be used on the vendor side as well. So we can send an email like this, and this is what I refer to as CRM for all, to the vendor that there is, we need to expedite a PO. We can also look at activities. So we can have tasks, we can have phone calls, both scheduled phone calls and make note of a phone call as well. So really this is traditional CRM. Now what's really nice about this is we can synchronize emails, automatically tag emails that come into Outlook to show up in here. And we can also tasks and calendar events, we can synchronize back to Outlook as well. So this works very closely with Outlook. We can have files, so maybe we want to store a contract as well for this customer. We can have files attached in there. Oops, moving on to the marketing tab for the customer. We can have campaigns, so there's a full marketing automation platform to do email sends, or maybe you track trade shows or events that customers come to. ROI, we talk to, you can talk about lead to ROI, the ROI from those marketing events. we can look at keywords. How did they arrive to our website? You know, what kind of click streams do they follow through our website? What pages interested them? So having full visibility into that customer's website experience right out of the customer record as well. You know, abandoned cart content. So I can see that they were looking at this, you know, AC17 unit, but haven't pulled the trigger on it. Maybe I need to call them and follow up. I can also create a quote for a customer and expose that through the e-commerce site as well, so they can log into the e-commerce site and go ahead and execute that quote as well. You know, we can see items that they've ordered and online lead forms that they filled out. There's also a full support system built in here, so warranty registration and claims, the RMAs, and then just other types of support problems as well. You know, collections is, you know, the dunning process is pretty straightforward. Customer preferences, you know, so do we want to send them transactions via email or print? How do they want to receive shipping, et cetera. So as a former technical guy, I really like this aspect of it, and our accountants love it too, the audit trail. So we can see anytime a record has been changed, the value of that record. This is fully reportable and can trigger workflows and emails as well if certain changes occur. Very powerful feature in the platform, and even custom records and custom entities. So if you create your own database tables with fields in them, those can be tracked as well on the you know, on the audit trail. So access. This allows us to give this customer access to the e-commerce site. They can self-register, or if you limit your e-commerce only to your existing customer base, as is common with B2B distribution, we can, you know, update his password. We can provide him access to the e-commerce site, like we'll show shortly when we log into an e-commerce demo environment as Tim Smith. We can also integrate with Suite apps as well. So here's a Suite app for Box.com. I won't actually go through the sales for the integration process, but this is a Box embedded on the customer record if you wanted to use Box instead of the native NetSuite file cabinet. So a lot covered there on the customer record. I'm going to go ahead and move on through the lead to cash process. We talked about the lead. We're going to create an opportunity for this customer record. So we're going to call this Smith Plumbing, and, you know, let's just say he's interested in 10 AC units for a commercial site. We have the ability to do status tracking on this opportunity. So if you're not using opportunity management now, I'll take a second just to explain it. Opportunities are really a way to forecast future sales, really pro forma sales. So there's, you know, no posting, they're not posting transactions, so just a way to capture information about the possibility for a future sale, track activity against that, and create quotes from it. We can also go straight to a quote. We don't have to have an opportunity, but it's often nice, especially with larger sales, to track it against the opportunity to see how that's moving, and then we can see the total pipeline as well from an organization standpoint or from a sales rep standpoint. So with the status, you can see when I change it to in discussion, it automatically changes my probability at 20%. So these can be you know, custom set up and have custom probabilities as well. We're just going to change this expected close date to 5/29. I'm going to change the location to Kansas City, and I'm going to choose this American Standard 17 AC unit. You can see it. I can see right here I have 10 available from the Kansas City location, and this customer receives a 10% discount on this particular item. If you recall, on the customer record, they were set for a 15% discount, but across the board. But in this case, because this is a pre-negotiated rate for this specific item, they only get 10% discount on it. So once again, the power of that, you know, of the pricing engine. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and we've created the opportunity. Now we can go ahead and create a quote against this opportunity. Maybe I didn't quite hit save. There we go. Let's create a quote now. So here is the quote. Now notice that the status of the opportunity changed to proposal, and my probability for forecasting purposes changed to 50%. I can, once again change this. Oops, I didn't update the quantity to 10 on that previous opportunity, but let's just say they wanted 8 instead. They told us that they wanted 8. We can, as a salesperson, if you give the salesperson access, override the discount level as well. We can set an expected ship date, for this quote as well, maybe 5/31, if I can type here. And we are going to save this. So this will send an email for this quote, and let's see here. The email just popped up. Here is the email for this quote. Once again, this is just a very generic template of email. We can fully customize this to your look, full HTML compliance. But here's the email that came through. It can also be attached to the PDF if you'd prefer that instead of embedded in the body. One other thing I should mention on the quoting process is that we can come down here. Notice that I have the shipping carrier set to FedEx. I can set that. We have integration with UPS, and so I can quote shipping right out of here as well, and then process the shipping on the fulfillment. So I'll change that to UPS and hit calculate, and there's my shipping. I'm guessing that the dimensional weights that are entered on this product record, because it's the demo environment, are a little off, because $50 to ship 8 large AC units is probably a little low. We also commonly do LTL integration as well. In terms of other integrations, we commonly do EDI. If EDI is on your radar or you're currently doing it, also I mentioned credit card processing and ACH integrations, and then there's a whole variety of further ecosystem of integrations for document management is one, for scanning and automatic processing of documents as well, for like AP and AR. Coming back to the quote here, I can execute this and turn this right into a sales order. So we can create the sales order. We can maybe update this. We talk to them some more, and they really want 9. I will need to recalculate the shipping costs after that. Click calculate. There we go. And we'll click save. One thing actually while I'm on this screen probably makes sense to talk about at this point is the ability to have different forms. So this is a pretty straightforward form that maybe we have for just counter sales. But maybe we want a more advanced form depending on, for other applications. So here's an example of a different form where we can collect different pieces of information. We can have different mandatory fields. And in this case, once again, it's a sales order, but this provides us the opportunity with this form to create a PO, either as a drop ship or as a special order. So as a drop ship, that's going to automatically create a corresponding PO to drop ship it to the customer, to our preferred vendor. And a special order would bring that, it's like a drop ship, would bring it to our facilities, then to ship onto the customer. I'm just going to leave it like this, but these forms can be fully customized, so the fields on there, maybe it's multiple ship to and multiple location order, so it's being shipped out of multiple locations to multiple ship to lines on the sales order. There's also a robust promotions engine as well that we can talk about in a further conversation. So here we've placed this order. Now we need to go ahead and fulfill this. So we're going to move over, and what you saw is the email just come through that the sales order has been placed. This would go to the customer, to Tim Smith. My email is acting as Tim Smith in this demo environment, but this would go to the customer here. Once again, fully customizable. So I'm going to switch roles here and move over to warehouse operations, and we're going to go ahead and fulfill this record. So on my dashboard here, I can see orders to fulfill, and here is this latest sales order. So I can do a bulk fulfillment of these. Once again, with our partner DSI and the mobile technology, we can send these to a barcode scanning gun for pick, pack, and ship, et cetera. We can print the labels right out of here. So I'm going to do fulfillment against these 8 units. I could do a partial fulfillment if I wanted, but we're just going to fulfill all of them out of our Kansas City, DC. Once again, I talked about the pick, pack, ship process. We're going to go straight to ship, though, in this case. And save that. We could be printing the labels, even printing return shipping labels as well, if you do offer a return shipping label in your packages. So we have now created that, and I've gotten a note once again that this order has been fulfilled, and here's my tracking number for that order via UPS. So as the end customer, I've gotten this note that that order has been fulfilled and it's on the way. So once again, the customer experience, improving the customer experience and bringing that information to them. I should have mentioned when I was on the warehouse manager's dashboard, but once again, really a completely different set of KPIs, all out of the box. Day one, this is what the platform looks like. So I have reminders of orders to fulfill, orders to receive. Here I have KPIs. Once again, have very limited access to the financial information, but I can see the KPIs that drive my day and drive my performance metrics as well. I'm going to switch roles and switch over to the controller role and actually bill for this now as we move on through the lead to cash process. So I have sales orders to invoice here. And here is the sales order from today's date. Once again, I could do a bulk invoicing and printing of these or automatic emailing depending on the customer preference that we looked at earlier. I'm going to go through and do it manual. And I'm doing a lot of manual processes here just so you can see how exactly it's done, the different transaction screens and records. So we could, once again, as a controller, override this, provide a credit, et cetera, as necessary. But I'm just going to go ahead and do this, straight up and save this invoice. I could change the terms over what the default terms are on the sales order or the customer record. And now we have received a invoice as well as from the customer right out of the NetSuite system. Once again with the tracking information, so we can invoice the customer. We can actually set that as an automated process to invoice the customer as soon as that item is fulfilled, which is is common in some organizations as well. Now everybody's favorite part, the cash receipt. So I could go to the customer record and click the accept payment button, or I could accept payments by typing accept customer payments here in the Google-like search. So I am going to, here's our payment page. I'm going to accept a payment from Smith Plumbing. And we could, base it on several different invoices here and see the payment amount here, et cetera. So we're going to, let's assume they wrote a check for these 3 invoices for this amount here. We probably should do it for the one that's in our demo example here, which is $329. And we're going to make that payment as well. So it's actually going to be a payment of $21,000. Excuse me. There are a variety of payment methods we can use, so we can accept a credit card, check, cash, ACH. So check number 1, 2, 3, 4. This is PCI compliant, so we can store credit cards as well. So we can have credit cards stored and just show the last 4 digits of that number as well on that customer. And we could accept that from, the sales order record or the invoice record, right for counter sales, let's say, which is common in supply house distribution organizations. We can accept this payment in one of 2 ways. We can do it as a 2-step process and do an undeposited funds account, and then when we actually do the deposit, go through the deposit process, or we can deposit right into the checking account, which I will show just in light of our time today of doing that versus the 2-step process. So I'm going to save that payment, and on any transaction record, we can see the GL impact. So this is all posting in real time. There's no batch posting or anything like that. Everything happens in real time, which makes it nice for visibility. So we can see the GL impact of this payment, that it credited accounts receivable and debited our checking account here. So that is the full lead to cash process within NetSuite. I did promise as well earlier that I'd touch on for a quick second on the flexibility of NetSuite being a development platform. It really has the ability to add custom fields, to do deep development. My background as a software developer in .NET, Java, JavaScript, HTML, et cetera. I did software development for 10 years, and that's really what attracted me to the NetSuite platform, as a cloud-based platform with deep development capabilities. So the ability to do Java, JavaScript development and develop web apps out of this platform here that interact with the data. For non-developers, though, we can also do workflows as well through the graphical workflow engine. So create graphical workflows such as basic purchase order approval, and see how that workflow flows through the system. It's a very basic one, but these can get comprehensive and can send emails for approval, and really has a strong business process workflow engine. The other thing that I wanted to mention as well is the ability to customize, whether it's the item record or the customer record. Here I am on an item record. I'm not going to go through the full item record, but I can see, inventory across locations. But the reason I came here as the administrator is I want to show just how easy it is to add a field. So these are some custom fields I created for an organization showing the ability to do facets for a tractor part company. But we're going to add a custom field up here for this item. So we're going to call this, we're going to customize new field. It's a matter of clicking here. It's just telling me that I hadn't saved that yet. And let's just call this, inventory velocity. Maybe we want a field to capture how fast this inventory is moving. And we want this to be a list, and so we're actually we could choose from an existing list in the system. We're going to create a new list as well. And so, and we're going to have, maybe we rank our inventory velocity in terms of A, B, C, and D. And so we're going to save that. And we want to add this, what item types we want to add this to. We're just going to add this to inventory items. We could also add it maybe to an assembly item if we're or a kit or a package, but we'll add it just to the inventory item. And then I want this to display before planner, I think is, there we go. That'll put it in the top there in the main subtab. Actually, we're going to do save and apply to the forms. So let's go back to this inventory record now. We have now added a field. It was that easy. We've added a field, the velocity. I might have, there it is right there. Here's our inventory velocity field. A, B, C, and D here. So it's that easy to add a field to the system. Also being able to add just full custom database tables, and relate those to it. So let's say you have delivery and you wanted to add a truck with a truck type and manage your deliveries that way. We could easily create a custom database table called trucks and integrate that into the sales order and delivery process. So it's that easy. The last thing that I will show, and I'll wrap it up. We're just starting to wrap up here, but I do want to just touch on the back on Suite Commerce Advanced and the ability to stand up a website. So this is out of the box, day one, what the Suite Commerce Advanced website looks like. So this is what it looks like, highly customized, built out, and this is day one what it looks like. So we do have the full account management capabilities, day one, tied to NetSuite. So this is tied back to my demo system here. And we can see that as I log in as Tim Smith, I can have the capability to reorder products. There's also a quick buy button up here. I commonly see in distribution a quote button as well up here. So, excuse me, here's what that quick buy looks like. It's a quick order pad. Reorder will take me to reordering. Here is the item that we just purchased and paid for. So I can view the order details for that sales order, and we can see fulfillment as well. So it's a full account management platform in the back end, in addition to the e-commerce traditional item management, inventory visibility, purchasing on the front side, shopping cart capabilities as well. So you might recall when we were on the customer record that I showed that I had one item in the shopping cart. Well, here that item is. It's in the shopping cart. When we talk about abandoned cart analytics. Oops, I clicked on the shopping cart. There's my shopping cart to, I can request to create a quote from this as well. So I want to go back and talk about, the ability to have returns in here, reorder previously purchased items, quotes, which we just talked about. We can see our account balance, for this customer. I don't think I ever saved it actually for that credit limit change. We can look at the invoices that are open, statements, even make payments against that. So you notice there's a call to action, a number of places to make a payment against these statements, or I can click through to the invoice as well. So this is all out of the box, day one, available with SuiteCommerce Advanced as part of NetSuite. And that's really the power of NetSuite's platform, is that you don't have to develop all these business processes either in a custom system, that they are all available with a high degree of flexibility as well. So with that, I am going to wrap up today's conversation. I appreciate you joining us. If you have any additional questions, you can reach us at sales@meridianbusiness.com or 866-561-1484. We can certainly dive into deeper discussions on any of these areas. This is a high-level overview of NetSuite, of the e-commerce and CRM capabilities of the NetSuite platform as well. We typically get much deeper and would love to learn more about your organization so that we can custom tailor a demonstration of the NetSuite platform to your exact needs. So once again, I appreciate it. Please watch your inboxes for further webinars that we will be completing. I believe our next one is coming up in 2 weeks, and the name of that webinar is, it's on April 17th, How Agile is Your Business? Harness Digital Transformation to Survive and Thrive. So we hope you can join us there on one of our thought leadership webinars on the need for business agility in today's changing business environment. Hope you have a great day, and thank you once again for joining us.